Hey everyone, Corey from Aquarium Co-op back for another Sunday night. Got some bad news. Unfortunately, John couldn't make it. He had something come up at work, so it's just me. So what do you guys want to talk about? Yeah, I don't know what we're going to do, but, we'll make do. I'm going to be on his channel next week. So there's that. We got another shot. Everyone's kind of piling in. And so make sure you get your questions. We don't have we don't have anything lined up, but no, I'm just kidding. John's totally here. Go ahead and say hi, John.
Oh, okay, there I am. Hey, hey, everybody. Yes, it's true. I am here. Corey told me before we went live that he wanted to do that, but he was afraid to do it. I said, no, go ahead. It'll be fun. That'll be a good time to play a little joke on somebody. So that's it. Yes, it is true. I am here. I'm alive. Thank you, Corey, for reaching out to me and wanting to do this. Bring me out of hiding. I guess that was pretty cool of you to do that.
Oh, man, chat's going nuts on that. But so if you guys are subscribers to my channel, you don't know who John is from KGTropicals. An insane amount of videos there. He's been doing it a lot longer than I have, so make sure you check him out after the stream. For right now, tune in on what we're doing. But afterwards, check it out, subscribe, that type of thing. We're getting him back on the bandwagon. That's why that little kid is bringing him back. And hopefully just have a good time tonight. So who's got questions? And we'll hop to it. Oh, I guess the first question is, let's be real. It's going to roll in. So where have you been, John?
Yeah, I've only seen that a couple of times already. Well, here's the deal. I have no pre-planned answer here for this, so I'm just kind of winging it because there is a lot to it, but I'm going to try to keep it as brief as possible. I had kind of an epiphany, I guess, back in like January, and realized that I was holding Lisa and I back from moving forward in our lives. With we want to buy a house, we want to do all these things. I mean, take a vacation, first time in 5 years. We want to do all these things. And it was me that was holding us back from that. And it was because I was putting so much of my heart and soul and into KGTropicals and nothing else. Of course, I put my heart and soul into family and all that kind of stuff. But professionally, my job that was paying my bills was kind of pushed to the side so that I could focus all on KGTropicals. I realized that was a mistake. That I've got this job that is paying my bills. I can flick a switch and make a whole lot more money doing that than I was. And I decided to flick that switch. And I took on a new client. I am self-employed. I took on a new client that I'm working for, and they basically tripled the amount of work that I was doing before. I went from working, 3 5 or 6 hour days, just being lazy, to working, 5, sometimes 6 days a week, 10, 12 hours a day. So it's been a big adjustment for me. It's been a big adjustment for everybody. And KGTropicals has kind of, been the victim of that. Just me not mentally having what I need to be able to do both at the same time. But the key word is yet. I mean, I'm by no means giving up on KGTropicals. I'm not walking away from it. What is there to give up on? I mean, it's a fun thing that I do. It's my hobby. I enjoy it. I enjoy interacting with the people like this. And so there's no way I could walk away from it. I won't do that. But I've had to take some time to kind of get adjusted to this new deal that I have here. So that's it. I mean, nothing major, nothing controversial or anything like that. It's just life has kind of gotten in the way.
So you're telling me you're like another human being and that you have responsibilities outside of YouTube?
Yes, that is a fact. I am actually a real life human being. And yes, I've got a lot of things that take my time away from KGTropicals.
Well, good. I'm glad, I'm hoping, this is the hope. The hope is that, taking on all that extra workload, you catch up on anything you're behind on, and now you're caught up, and now you can delve back into YouTube and do all the things you want to do. Because I've been there. Like, I've obviously opened a store where, you're eating top ramen for lunch every day. 1, because I can't get away from the store. 2, because I can't really afford to eat anything else. And, so I've been there, and it's when you kind of get back out of it and you're not into, I guess being stressed out, the actual making of the videos and that kind of stuff's way more fun. So hopefully you'll get back on that train and you'll just enjoy doing it again.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, to add to what you were talking about, add 5 kids to that. You know what I mean? It's like
you're insane.
we put ourselves into a big hole with our shop, and it was our fault. I mean, the fish business is a good business. You're living proof of that. But for us, it put us into a dark, dark hole, and we were not going to get out of that hole. I mean, that's the bottom line. And I had to do something. I had to do something quick and drastic to get us out of that hole. And I'm happy to say we're already like on our way out of it, and things are changing in a big way. We're looking for houses. Things are way different now than they were. So this has been a very good thing. But I have missed my fish people though. So, it's not something that's going to go on much longer. Like you said in the opening, where you're coming on my live stream, I'm finally going to do another live show on my channel. So excited about that. Excited to bring you on, because I feel like the ones that you and I have done together on my channel have been some of the best ones. So I'm excited about that. I
enjoy it. I don't even know if you've seen this, because this kind of came out like right when you took a break, but the super chat here from Steenfod Aquatics for $5 says, John is back. Like and share. That's right. Share this around. Like it. Let's get a new record. We've got, my people, but now we've got John's people too. We should be like way bigger on this live stream. It should be, a record setter for sure. So.
Yeah, I am familiar with the super chats, and I think, I could be wrong, but I think you may have been the first person to actually get a super chat on my channel. And then I had no idea what it was. It was either you or Paul Martin. I don't know. But I was doing it when YouTube Live Mobile first came out. And all of a sudden it's super chat, $5. I'm like, what are you talking? What is this? So yeah, I am familiar with it. It's very, very cool. Very cool way to support your favorite channels and content creators for sure.
Yeah. All right. So question for me, maybe you, if you know it, but Fluval brought out the bug bites, and I'm hyping them recently. Well, because I like them, but I'm calling them Fluval bug bites, but in Canada, they're branded as Nutrifin bug bites by Hikari. Are they the same thing? I myself don't know, because I haven't seen the Canadian ones. I'm going to read on a package here, but have you seen this food at all yet, John?
You mean this food here? Yes, I have. I'm holding up the goldfish formula because it's the only one I have handy. I have been feeding like crazy all of the other ones. I got the surprise box from Fluval too. My fish have been absolutely tearing it up. So I'm a fan of it. I'm a fan of doing new things, and the whole new idea of it and all that. I think it's cool. So but as far as different brands and all that, I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, it doesn't say on the package here. Like a lot of times it'll say, like in the fine print, a different company, but all it says is it says, well, here's an interesting thing it says on the package. It says distributed by Rolf C. Hagen and made in Canada. I wonder if like a different fish food would say made by like Rolf C. Hagen. I don't know. That might be the technicality, but I would wager it's being made at the same factory, being that it's all being done in Canada. It would cost too much money to set up 2 different factories when you can just slap a different label on it. So
yeah, I mean, how have your fish been doing on it? I mean, mine have been absolutely tearing it up. My discus don't, because they won't eat pellets for nothing. But everything else has been doing really well on it.
Yeah, for me, I really like the Pleco blend, like the Pleco stick blend. And then I like the fine tropical granule, but since I keep all tiny fish, those will work well for me. Whereas like I've got the cichlid ones and I've got the goldfish ones, but in my opinion, both the goldfish and the cichlid ones, they're too big for goldfish. I would want a smaller pellet. And then I just don't have that many cichlids of that size. Like if I had a Mabuna tank or something like that, it would make some sense. But being that they're big and hard, I watch a goldfish have to mouth that thing for quite a while. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't have any goldfish, so I haven't been able to try it out on them. And like I said, it's been the cichlid, which in my 240, all the fish are big enough for that. And then the community, and I haven't even fed the pleco either, because I have 2 bristlenose in there, I think. I haven't seen them in months, but I have seen them. I've seen one of them recently, but I'm not going to throw a bunch of food in there having no idea where they are, or if they're even in there anymore. So I haven't fed the goldfish or the pleco, but the cichlid and the community, I've fed it, and they've both done really well for my fish. So
we've got a super chat from Kai Yang. Says, John, we've missed you. Glad to have you back. Any new fish during the absence, or any updates on your tanks coming?
I'll probably go into more detail about it on my stream on Thursday with Corey. Yeah, selfish plug for that. But I have not gotten any new fish. I was supposed to, but I didn't. I'm down a few fish, though. If you look in the 240, it does look a little bit sparse in there. Had something run through there. I think I've got it under control now. Lost 4 or 5 fish in there. But as far as updates go, no. I'm really having a good time with all of my nano tanks. That's still a new thing for me that I'm really enjoying. I've been breeding guppies, which, that doesn't take a master aquarist to be able to do that. But Lisa's guppies have been breeding like crazy. And I'm thinking about moving some things around. I'll talk about that on my stream, though. But yeah, there has not been any new stuff, just unfortunately some subtractions.
Sure. So we got a super chat from Chris ongoing for $3. Well, thank you, buddy. No comment, but just want to donate $3.
Just wanted to hear his name.
Yeah, I have a question, because I think you travel for work. What's like the last? Well, it's a 2-part question. What's the last tank you saw in someone's home? And then, have you ever gone to someone's home to do your job? Because I'm pretty sure you travel. And have they recognized you from YouTube?
The answer to both questions centers around the first question, if that makes any sense. I went into a customer's house 2 or 3 weeks ago, and that was the last house that I saw aquariums in. Very, very nice aquariums too. And at the same time, she recognized me. So yeah, the answer to that is yes. I don't get recognized all that often. It's very, very rare, actually. I've only had it happen 2 or 3 times, like out somewhere.
I call it in the wild.
Right, in the wild. But I've had it dozens and dozens of times when I'm at something that's involving fish, like a fish store, or obviously, the convention, stuff like that. That happens all the time. But when I'm in somebody's home, that's only happened a couple times. And one of them was, we were talking, the guy had a cichlid tank. We were talking about him, and I was like, yeah, I keep cichlids too. I've been breeding them. I really like them. And the more we got to talking, he was like, hey, wait a minute. I know that bald head. And he figured it out from there. I guess I look different in person. I don't know. But so, yeah, the answer to both questions is the same one. And this lady had a ridiculous reef tank. She also had a small, like 30-gallon Shelly tank. And then she had another larger tank. I didn't get a real good look at it, but that was a Malawian cichlid tank. So, yeah, and they were all 3. I could tell this woman was passionate about her fish. Hopefully she's watching this right now, because she knows who you are too. But big time into fish, very active online, and she happened to know who I am. So, yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's got to be a little awkward to be like, and now I'm just going to do my job. I know you knew what else I do, but I need to do what I'm here to do.
It's weird because, like, this is going to sound really, really strange, but when that happens, and again, it's only happened a few times, I almost feel ashamed to go and fix furniture, because here they are, people think, you've had this, Corey, I know you have, people think that you're something that you're not. Like, they think that because you have a lot of YouTube subscribers, you're like some kind of celebrity. And then I'm going to go down and get down on my back and fix this lady's recliner. I mean, I felt like ashamed, which I make 10 times the money with that job than I do with KGTropicals. So I shouldn't be ashamed of it. But I don't know. It's kind of weird. It's fun though. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, that's people are always shocked. Like, you're cleaning your sponge filters in your store, and I'm like, someone's got to. Like, that's what you do, right? So.
Right.
Deadly Lightning says, where do you buy the bug bites? I know I sell them on my website. Are you selling them on your site? Do you have those yet? Or are you going to carry them? Or
I probably will. I don't have them yet. The website is another thing that I'm a little bit behind on. Still shipping out orders when they come in, but as far as restocking, I haven't restocked in a little bit. But no, I didn't buy mine. Fluval sent them to me. That's not me bragging. It just is what it is. Get home one day and there's a box, so I haven't gone to the store and bought it, but I would imagine the big box stores would carry it too. But go to Corey's website. If he's got it, go there, for crying out loud. Get some plants too.
I was quick to get it because I was like, these are really good and no one else carrying it, so I better get them. I'm sold out of a couple of them right now, but they're already in transit, so that's a good sign. I ordered a lot, and a couple of the blends really sold out. Obviously the two that I like, because I'm going to talk the best about them, but they'll be restocked, I'm hoping, by Wednesday or so, which I guess I hadn't even brought that up. There's always kind of a sale going on my website right now until like midnight. There's 15% off all the sponge filters, intake sponges, air stones. And then the new thing, if you guys haven't seen it, is the Dutch auctions. I added a couple more items. So there's artwork on there. There's a few moss balls left. They're almost sold out. And then what did I add? I added like Hikari micro wafers and Seachem Prime. And the way a Dutch auction works is every day it's going to get cheaper. And one of two things happens. Either A, it's been 7 days and it doesn't sell, or B, the price gets cheap enough and someone like buys it all out. You don't have to buy it all out. You could buy one at this price and two at this price. But as it gets cheaper, people buy bigger. Like I watched someone buy like 9 moss balls today. So price was right for 9 because I think they're a little bit above $3. And normally we're selling them at like $6 a piece or something like that. So it's kind of a fun deal, but once they're gone, they're gone. So super chats are stacking up. We got $5 from Robert P. Man, I'll have to use that to buy John some tacos if I ever get to meet him in person.
I will gladly accept your tacos. Absolutely.
All right. King Lee says, this is funny that the next one pertains to tacos. So do tacos and pizza go together? Love the stream. Glad to see you're back, John.
Is that a question for me? I mean, you're the taco guy. I do consider myself to be quite the taco connoisseur too, but I don't talk about it like you do. Come on. I mean, anything can go with tacos. Anything can go with pizza. Give me a break. I mean, I don't care what you have.
Pizza. Literally, taco pizza is amazing, except when you find a place that doesn't know what they're doing and they put the lettuce and tomatoes on before they put it in the oven. Then it's the worst thing ever. But as long as they do it correctly, taco pizza, I'm not going to say is the best of both worlds because it's clearly just like different. And mostly you buy it so you can say, I just ate taco pizza, but it's a pretty good time.
Well, and I don't think you even need to mix the two together. I think you can have a slice in this hand and a taco in this hand. And I mean, life is good, right?
You're on the top of the pile if you can get both tacos and pizza in the same meal and they're not combined. I mean, that means you can either have people who get them for you or you're cooking both of them, which that in itself, you've hit the upper echelon, the top 1% when you get tacos and pizza in the same meal.
Taco Bell's cheap. Come on, man. $1 menu. No big deal.
Yeah, but I guess so here we do have Taco Bell / Pizza Huts, but I'm just envisioning there's no way I'm going to go to one of them and then drive to the other one. Like that, I will never do that. I'm way too lazy. So I'm envisioning you have servants go get it, or you have a cook them both or something.
Yeah, I'm not saying I would make the trip to both restaurants. All I'm saying is, you got one in each hand. We're going to be okay. Life is going to be good. However, you have to make that happen. I think that's a good thing.
So Jacqueline says, never feel ashamed for being a hardworking person, John. I agree.
Oh, I'm not. I mean, certainly not. I'm very proud of what I do. I'm very good at what I do. And I make a lot of people happy with what I do. That might sound weird, but people have a problem. I go into their house. I fix the problem, however minor or severe it is. And, and I walk away feeling good about what I've done. I'm not ashamed of it at all. But what I was saying was it's kind of like what I was trying to say was people put you on a pedestal when you're a YouTube guy even if you have 100, even if you have 1,000 subscribers, people put you on this pedestal like you're something, you know what I mean? Which you're not. You're just a dude that talks about fish tanks. But and then to go and fix a piece of furniture after that, it's kind of like, man, you know, I feel weird doing this. That's all I was trying to say. But I'm not ashamed of what I do. Not at all. Absolutely not.
So here's a real fish question. Maybe we can get to the bottom of this. It says, I'm having a pH issue. It comes out of the tap at 7. 24 hours after putting it into a planted 10-gallon tank, it's down to 6. I have crushed coral in the filter and sprinkle in the gravel. What could cause this? So the pH is dropping pretty quick. My guess, this is my guess, is that your local water company is putting something in the water to artificially inflate it, and then it's gassing out later. So the test I would run is like put it in a glass of water and like an air stone, and if it drops to 6 the next day, that's the answer. If it doesn't, then it's an entirely different, who knows what's going on. Do you have any ideas? Because crushed coral should buffer it up. Oh, I think you're muted at the moment. Still muted. I don't know why, but we'll let him get that figured out. Yeah, he's still muted. Yeah. Anyway, the crushed coral, how long has it been in that 10-gallon tank? Has it been a long time? Because in the filter, it can dissolve real fast, and then it kind of burns out where it's not going to dissolve that quickly at all. That being said, it does take time for crushed coral to kind of raise back up the pH. And so if you're doing like a 90% water change in that 10-gallon, it's going to read really low, but then over the course of a week or two, it would buffer itself back up. So let's see, who else has got some fishy questions here? Let's see. I've got a question. What's the weirdest combo of fish you've seen in a tank? Like species that you would have thought could never be in the same tank? I'm going to go first. I think John somehow still is muted. He's got a problem on his end. For me, what is the weirdest combo I've ever seen? I mean, there's a lot of weird combos I see with goldfish that just shouldn't work, but are. But I think, for me, the one I always think about is angelfish and frontosas. One, because it looked super duper cool. And then two, because like the angelfish is so dainty, and then the frontosa is such a brute. And so, yeah. But there was fins for days going on that tank. It looks super cool. And I remember, actually, this is kind of a weird story. When I was new to the store I worked at, before I owned a store, people were doing something that I never recommend to do, by the way, and that was, testing out the new employee. And so a guy walks in, and at this point, I'm fairly well versed in fish, well before I come on to work at a store. But he goes, he's like, can I keep these angelfish and these frontosas together? And then I break into that whole thing I had seen and like explained it so well. He was left, and he basically said, well, I was just doing that to see if you knew what you're talking about, but I didn't know that could actually be done. And then I was like, yeah, so thanks for quizzing me. That's not, did you have any actual questions? And so that's kind of how it went. So, yeah.
Are you able to hear me now, Corey?
Yeah, you're back in action. So what's the craziest fish combo you've ever seen?
Well, oh man, I feel like I'm a broken record here, because there's one and only one that I have, and it might not sound that crazy, but I had a customer that came to my store once a month or so, and one month he would spend his money on African cichlids, and the next month it would be discus, and it was just back and forth and back and forth. And I didn't find out till like 6 months later that he was combining those two.
Wow.
Which a lot of people would consider outrageous, and I would too. I would never try that, but this guy was like, hey, they do well. They do well together. They all get along and everything's good. The rule books would tell you that's absolutely false, but this guy was able to pull it off. And I don't recommend people to do that, but it worked for him. So other than that, I mean, I've seen large cichlids in with really small fish, and they never bother them, and that's always kind of entertaining to hear those kind of stories. But But Africans with discus, yeah, that was the one for
I would
me.
love to see that tank, just because you can't fit more color into a tank than discus and Africans. Like, I assume it's like a blender in there. It's a bloodbath, but if it's not, it's got to be amazing.
I mean, I have never seen the tank, but he was buying 5-inch discus and he was buying large male Africans. So this guy was spending big money on his fish. And he's one of those people, these people, Corey, where when you spoke to him, when he spoke to you, you could tell this guy was he really cared about his tanks. It's not something that was just a decoration to him. He was really passionate about it. And so, again, I wouldn't tell anybody to do that, but for that guy, it worked. I would have loved to have seen that tank too, because yeah, I can only imagine how pretty it was.
So we got a $10 super chat from Tenzawa Tanks, who's got a YouTube channel, by the way. Check him out if you haven't. But he says, my wife's birthday is on the weekend of the aquatic experience in Chicago. That's already a recipe for disaster, by the way. I asked if she wanted to go to Chicago. She said, why? Something to do with fish? No. Any suggestions on how I can convince her to go? So when I was in Chicago, I felt like there was nothing to do except for fish nerd stuff. So we need people in the chat, or if anyone else knows, the aquarium is supposed to be pretty cool, but if she's not into fish, is there a shopping district? I know that's kind of I'm pigeonholing his wife into something wanting to shop, but is there stuff to do in Chicago besides get deep dish pizza? And what else? If you didn't have a conference to go to, what would we do? Have you been to Chicago, John?
I have, yeah. 2015, I went to the aquatic experience, and all I did was go to the event and eat deep dish pizza. So, but what's Chicago known for? I mean, it's known for the food. It's known for the city. It's known for the Bears and the Cubs and the White Sox and the Blackhawks. And I mean, if she's into sports, but yeah, I mean, I would just imagine, hey, we can go to the city. The convention is what is it? Maybe 25 minutes from the city of Chicago. So, hey, we can spend a night in Chicago and walk around, and just don't let her watch the news when it comes to stuff that's going on there. But I shouldn't have said that. That was horrible. But, I don't know.
Maybe a really expensive hotel room, because it's her birthday, and be we'll get away and do nice dinners, and then figure out a way. You definitely can't just go for the weekend, right? You can't be yeah, we're gonna do 2 or 3 days of fish and nothing else. There's got to be oh, and there's a day on each side where we're doing the stuff you want to do, museums or whatever she's into. I think you got to sell it on. Here's 5 days of awesome. Please let us go.
and just find. I mean, it's your old lady's birthday. I mean, you gotta treat her to something nice. So get a reservation at a ridiculous restaurant in Chicago. I'm sure there's plenty, and treat her to a super nice dinner. And I mean, there you go. Do a day of what women like to do, and then you can have your day where she will walk around miserable with you, not wanting to be there, and you're each making sacrifices for each other. There you go.
Yeah. Aquatic Tanks by MJ, $5 super chat, says, hey, Corey, and glad you're back, John. You're getting love.
Thank you.
Getting love. So if I miss anyone's super chat, I apologize. The way we're doing the Google Hangouts, I can't get the right tab open. So if anything's under the $3, it won't show up at the top, and that can be a problem. So I'll try and get to them, but realize I'm not intentionally skipping anyone. So yeah. Let's see. Looking for comedy. There could be comedy shows and stuff like that. The Sears Tower, imagine, the zoo. Yeah, there's stuff to do. The Navy Pier is awesome by the lake. Six Flags. Yeah, it sounds like a lot of stuff to do. Chicago cheesecake? I need this. I didn't know this existed, but I like cheesecake.
And the pizza is I am a pizza guy. So, take it for what it's worth. But, yeah, the pizza is fantastic, too. That's worth going to Chicago. I would not drive 15 hours, again, to have Chicago pizza again. But it was really good. And I was there with Sean Peck, so that was a lot of fun.
So a $5 super chat from Clay Hodges says, Corey, I put some plain-looking guppies outside March 1st. Could you explain why they are so colorful now? Well, my guess is that they got some actual sunlight. Sunlight is amazing, and I do want to play with maybe some UVB bulbs and that kind of stuff inside, because I know it affects turtles and things like that. And I know fish color up more. So I would guess that one, like time, like they got bigger, so they probably matured out, but then the actual sunlight helped as well. Have you ever done fish outside, John?
I never have. I have the dream of the pond, but I've never done fish outside. No, so I have nothing to say about that. I've dreamt about it a lot, though.
I think it's a combination of actual sunlight and then lots of live food, bugs and stuff like that hitting in there. So that's my best guess. That's what I witnessed anyway.
I mean, just knowing what I know, I would absolutely agree with that. Having never done it, but I would still, that makes sense, what you're saying.
Oh, we got a debate going on. Corey, the fluffy cheesecake or the real cheesecake? So this shows you how much of a non-cheesecake connoisseur I am, because I don't know the difference. I don't know that I know two different cheesecakes.
Yeah, I've only had one too, but fluffy cheesecake, pff, sign me up.
Yeah, I don't know that I could dislike either one, but now I gotta, now I have to do some research and let's see the difference. Joey says, "Hey John, you got any videos coming out soon? You been doing any filming or just focusing on the business?"
Well, I've been thinking about doing a lot of filming. I do have some plans. I've had plans for a while to do some videos, and I do have a project that I want to do down here involving these tanks, moving things around. I might break a cardinal rule, but that's what I do. So, but if I do this, then I will certainly make videos out of it. It wouldn't be just a live stream thing. So yeah, I've got plans. As far as when they're going to come out, though, I have learned I'm not going to put a date on it, because then there's that pressure, and that just makes it no fun. So,
sure, I can hear that. I screw that up all the time, and I tell people like, yeah, I think I'm doing about this video, and not thinking like, oh, that can only be done in the summer or something like that. And then from then on, people are asking me like, so is that video coming out? Like, well, I got to wait for things to happen. Like right now, everyone's asking about the 800-gallon tank I'm putting in. It's like, well, it's got to be built. Like I can't build a tank, and they've got a schedule, and it's supposed to be done this day. But really, all I can do is sit and dream. So
I've made the mistake way too many times of saying, yeah, I'm going to do this, and this, and it's all going to be done within a month, and I'm going to do it all on video, and I don't even do one of them because of whatever reason. It just doesn't happen. I've made that mistake way too many times, so I'm not going to get myself in trouble like that anymore.
Mm-hmm. Someone asked if I'd ever do a live stream with Jacob's Aquariums. Definitely.
I've done a live stream with Jacob.
You've done it with Jacob?
I went on his channel, yeah.
Wow.
It was 2014, probably. I was in my shop, and I went live. He was the only one doing anything live back then, as far as fish channels go. And yeah, we had some fun. It was a good time.
That's crazy. You guys were live back then, because like 2014, 3 years ago, that's like pioneering. Like technology was not helping going live very much.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, him and I talked about it before we went live. We were chatting, and I was like, what all's involved in you doing this? And he was like, oh, I got this, and I got this software, and it was like a ridiculous amount of money and all of this. And I was like, no, that's not going to be something that I'm going to be able to do. I had heard all these rumors about YouTube, making it happen down the road. So I was like, I'll just wait for that. But yeah, Jacob was the real deal then. And he is now. I don't mean to say like he's gone somewhere, but yeah, he was doing it. He was doing it right. Joey was on there. I was on there. There was a bunch of people that went with him. I think Rick even did it. I'm not sure though.
Let's see here. What oddball stocking options that are compatible for a 20-gallon with a bristlenose pleco and kind of moderate pH? And yeah, what you got? Any ideas for a 20-gallon?
Oddballs for a 20-gallon. Ooh.
I can think of one so far, and that's a transparent knife fish. They only get about 6 inches, but there's got to be some other options.
Doesn't that African knife stays
like
pretty
the
small?
brown one? Yeah.
Yeah, those are really cool too.
It's hard because it's 20 gallons, not a lot, and I keep thinking of stuff going, well, that's a bit much.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of that African. I'm going to stick with that because I love like the big clown knives and all of those. I think those are really cool. I love that shape. I always do that whenever I talk about them. So that's what I would go with. Sure.
Yeah, I can't think of anything without taking too much time that's that different that won't just beat on stuff either. There's, because a lot of stuff gets 6-8 inches in that oddball category. Maybe you could do a baby whale, maybe, because they don't get as big as like an elephant nose, maybe.
And what about the leaf fish? They stay pretty small, don't they? I've never had them, but
well, they grow ridiculously slow, and long term they can get like 6 inches. But there are a bunch of those other oddball like leaf fish that'll stay much smaller, but I don't know if they're gonna have like personality, and they kind of are an acquired taste, I think.
Figure 8 puffers, they stay small. I don't know if I'd keep them in a 20 gallon.
Yeah. Any tips for this? Here we go. This is gonna be for you, I think. Any tips for breeding Kenii cichlids?
Yes. You put a male and about 4 or 5 females in water, and that's all you have to do. No, yeah. I mean, I'm making a joke out of it, but it's true. I mean, the first thing to think about is how many fry do you want to produce? Because depending on what article you read, or if you watch my series that I did 5 years ago, I would tell you that a good ratio in that video, I think I said 1 to 8. But that was me wanting to produce a lot of fry because I wanted to raise them and sell them. If you're doing this for fun and you just want to enjoy it and see these little fish and all that, a male and 3 females, give them, I would put them in at least maybe like a 40 gallon. I don't know why. Maybe you can explain to me, Corey, why those breeder tanks are called 40 gallon breeders. I don't know what makes them a breeder tank, but something like that. Gives them plenty of room. Kenii stay pretty small, so it's not that big of a deal. And just watch them. Make sure that the male isn't too overly aggressive. Keep the water clean. Keep them fat, and they will absolutely breed. You can't stop them.
So a couple of things. The breeder thing, and I'm not claiming to know this how it started, but this is what I've always thought of, and I think, is it used to be, I feel like 12-ish or more years ago, there used to be show tanks, which would be really tall. And then I think they had to come up with a term for short tanks. And so they became breeder tanks because only breeders really wanted them. And the goal would be that there's more footprint than there is height. And so, or at least it matches. So if it's like 18 tall, it's also 18 front to back and, longer than 18. But in terms of breeding Kenii, I think the only thing I can add to what he has said is keep very few males. It's the males that will beat each other down with a vengeance. So they like lots of females and a male is fine. The problem is when you're buying them young, you don't really know what you're getting. So you might have to scoop out extra males because it'll be a bloodbath between those guys. But being that they're a mouth brooder, one male can satisfy lots of females if that's what you want to do. And if you want 5,000 babies, you can make that happen. Yeah,
I always told people have 2 males, but only put 1 in with the female. If you're really serious about this, if you have your community tank that you have all of your prize fish in, get 1 male to have in there as like either a backup or an alternative, and then have your 1 male in with the females. If he doesn't do the trick, if he's not satisfying the females, they won't go to him for whatever reason, then try the other one. You have a backup there. But I agree, 1 male, because if you put more than 1 male in there, they're going to spend more time wanting to kill each other than wanting to do what they got to do with the females. And they could kill the females too. So,
Paul Martin with a question. A Mabuna tank with only sponge filters, is it enough? How many sponge filters? And we're talking 55-gallon tank. What are your thoughts?
It can be done. I did it in the shop, but these were not show tanks. And I don't like labeling things as show tanks because I'm not putting on a show. But these weren't display tanks. They were shop tanks. I mean, fish were in, fish were out. It was, a quick thing. But with a 55, I had imbunas in a 55, and I would put 2 of the largest sponge filters that I had in there, and it was fine. I mean, it was perfectly fine. Sponge filters, you can attest to this, Corey, they're a lot more efficient than people give them credit for. And there was a day where that's all you had was stuff like that. So, yeah, they absolutely will. Now, if you're going to have a 55-gallon with 48 imbunas in it, well, first of all, I wouldn't do that. But I don't know that a couple of sponge filters would handle that. But if you're going to do a reasonable number, absolutely. 2 of them, 2 of the big ones, you're good to go.
I think with 2 big ones, like 2, sponge filters this big or so, you probably will never run out of biological capacity. Like you won't be able to put more fish in from aggression and that kind of thing before you run into that. And I think the weak part, if I got to pick the downfall of sponge filters being run by air, is that they're not good at keeping water clarity up very high. That being said, they'll convert waste super efficiently. And I run into this a lot of times. People ask me well, if I buy another sponge filter, will that help keep my nitrates down? And the reality is no. They're there to make nitrates. And so you could have 20 Africans in that 55, and it will convert all that ammonia for you super efficiently and easy, but you're going to run into lots of nitrates. You're going to be doing a lot of water changes. But I do think, you could run a tank just with sponge filters. You might not have crystal clear water, and it's not going to look terrible, but if you're one of those people that so you can look through from one end the long way to the other end and not even know there's water in the tank, it would be very hard to achieve on sponge filters, I think. And so, but if it's a fish room, yeah, definitely I think you can pull that off.
Well said.
Let's see here. There was another one I want to see. Whoa. At Aquarium Co-op and KGTropicals, people are selling zebra plecos for $1,250 in Australia.
Talk to Corey about that. Don't talk to me. I ain't got that kind of money.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's just import. I bet you it's just the fact that it's so hard to import them that someone's got a stranglehold on that market going, that's nuts. You need to cry if you want to own this. You can only pay in tears.
There's one fish I would spend that kind of money on, and that would be an Asian arowana. Other than that, I would die to have a zebra pleco. I don't know that I would pay that much money for it, though. Not even if it was at the store down the street. I don't know that I would do that. A super red Asian arowana, though, ooh, yes, I'd spend double that on one of those.
So Mary says she bought a Harlequin rasbora yesterday. It has a broken jaw, or at least I think it's broken anyways. I can see right into his throat. It looks like he can eat, but I'm unsure. What can I do? Currently medicating. I'm not sure there is anything you can do, honestly.
Yeah, I'm not sure medication would do a whole lot for that either.
Yeah.
Whoa. You know what? I don't know that this would work for everybody, but I've had this. Corey, you've had enough fish. You may have had it too. I had a fish with a mouth stuck open at the shop one day. And I think it was just kind of like a lockjaw type thing, like the fish was eating and it just kind of got stuck. And I literally took my hand and I just kind of, I don't even know how to say it. I just kind of tugged on it just a tiny, tiny bit with my fingers, and it almost adjusted it and it went back into place and it was fine.
That makes sense, because that's if I dislocate my shoulder, what do you have to do? You have to hyperextend it and it forces it back into place. And I can believe a fish's mouth is like that, because usually it comes out forward. Yeah, because I was going to go with I would do nothing and hope it can eat. But now I'm on board to John's solution of get tweezers or something and try it, because I think, you could do some damage, but I think you've got 20% chance of making it better, 80% chance of it doing nothing, but 20% is better than nothing.
Yeah, and a rasbora is so much smaller than the type of fish I was dealing with too. I mean, the one thing I would not do, though, I think that a lot of people would be instinctively, they would want to, I can only do this demonstrating it on myself, they would want to do one of these things. Like they would want to squeeze the mouth. I absolutely wouldn't do that, because you might just make things worse. If there is a way, you said tweezers, that would scare me. I mean, because I'd be afraid. I'd be pulling flesh off and stuff. But yeah, I mean, what else are you going to do? I mean, if tweezers are the only things that could fit in there, sure, give it a try.
I mean, the more I think about it, the more technical I get, because I assume if this is my own fish, it wouldn't be a thing like, I'm going to go do it in 4 minutes. Like, I would think about it. And so while you were talking, and you said, like, afraid of flesh, now I'm thinking, well, what if I, like, melted some plastic onto the tweezer tips so they're not, like, as sharp?
Wow. See, there you go. Now, see, I've got
involved, and it might not even help.
These aren't going to show up, but these are actually, these are ceramic tip tweezers.
Huh.
They're not for fish keeping. It's for vaping.
Yeah.
But I could see myself using this because it's kind of like a round edge. It's not soft, but it's nowhere near as sharp as a real tweezer. I could see myself using these, but a real tweezer, I don't know, that would scare me. I love the idea of the plastic or wax or something like that to kind of dull that edge, or just take some sandpaper and dull the edge of the tweezers. I mean, 100 grit sandpaper will dull it right out.
There's a lot of MacGyverism going on where it's like, when the internet doesn't have an answer, your local fish store doesn't have an answer, pretty soon you just got to try stuff. And I think that's just over time. That's how cool things evolve. Like, well, a guy or girl had a genius idea and then showed people, and then it became a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I would try that, but at the same time, don't go into it going, oh, it didn't fix it, I'm a failure, because I think odds are really stacked against you on that.
And it absolutely, you said something before about do nothing. It absolutely could be something that works itself out too. I mean, I've seen crazier things on fish. So, and I would probably try that first. If this is like a fish that is near and dear to you, which I think she said she just bought it. So I don't know how near and dear it is to her, but if this is a really special fish to you, give it a little bit more time and see if it just kind of works itself out. I think it probably will.
Yeah, I mean, especially if it was a brand new purchase, as much as I hate to say this, I would probably like ask the store, be like, hey, can I just get one that doesn't have this jaw problem? And not because you don't want to keep it as a fish, but I think, like, for me, I'm all about, is this going to stress me out? For the next 6 months, if I'm watching this thing like a hawk, am I getting stressed out when I meant this aquarium to be stress relieving for me? And so, if you're a person like that, I would just say, can I bring it back to the store and get a different one? And then it's just kind of out of your vision at that point.
Yeah, pass the problem on to somebody else.
Well, it's the person that sold it to you.
No, I get it. No, I totally understand. I'm just having fun.
Yeah. So let's see here. John, I'll send you guys some chicken adobo. By the way, John, I'll send you some of the new e-juices from Pop Culture Vapor.
Woohoo!
By the way, shout out to Vape Tag and SoCal.
I saw the name of that. I'm pretty sure. I don't know if he's sent me liquids before. They were gone real fast, so that's good. Okay, sure, go right ahead.
This one's directed to me. At my store, do you sell pea puffers? And if so, how much do you sell yours for? And what are the best snails for pea puffers? So at my store, I sell them at $9.99, which is more expensive than other stores. But I deworm my puffers. And then part of it is I want to elevate the price, because when they're too cheap, like let's say they're $5 or $6, people buy them all the time with just the let's see how it goes. And what I'm really trying to do is make people really decide whether they want to care for this fish or not, and not just go, we'll see, because a lot of times that's not good for the other puffers' tank mates and things like that. So you can see I've got this weird like line in my face here from the sun. The sun's hitting me right here.
You're in somebody's sights right now.
Yeah, but best snails for pea puffers, I like limpets, which are like those little snails that are flat on the glass, and pond snails and ram's horn snails.
Isn't it fun to watch puffers eat snails? I think it's adorable. And to listen to them cracking on them and stuff, I think it's cute.
Mm-hmm. Amazon Research Center says, see, if Corey have to take the wife to the airport, remember all donations to the Amazon Research Center are tax deductible. Help us finish building the Amazon Research Center. You guys, if you follow me, I'm into that. And I do want to see that get fully funded, because I want to go out there and I want to see it. Basically, you're going to do a lot of research, sustainability, those types of things. And if you want to get involved in a project that, offsets your fish imprint on the world, that might be a way to donate a few dollars, and then it is tax deductible. So how do you keep fish food fresh? Should we treat it like dog food and rejar it in airtight containers? Do you do anything special, John?
No, I mean, my bulk food that I buy to sell as KGTropicals food, of course, I treat that way. But in my experience, people aren't buying mass quantities of food, and you're keeping them in the containers that they come in, which are usually a sealable bag or a can, and that's, to me, that's always been fine to get you through that particular can or bag, whatever it is. But in bulk, if you're buying it in bulk, I mean, old coffee cans can do it, and I've kept fish food in the refrigerator. Pellets I've kept in the refrigerator before, because I used to buy in 20-pound bags when I was breeding, and I would keep them in the refrigerator. We had a refrigerator in our garage that we just kept it in. So that's what we did. Coffee cans, and then the really good sealing bags is what we used. We didn't go anything crazy, though.
You just got a $5 super chat. Says, I concur, John.
Well, when do I see that money?
Well, it's paid out in taco shares only.
No, I'm teasing. That's funny.
You got 1/17 of a taco coming your way, buddy.
I love it. I am ready.
No, but I think all you can do is you can limit the exposure to air. And so, even if you had a bag that's this big, and if it takes you 2 months to feed that, maybe you take this much out of the container and you put that in a Ziploc bag and leave that one zipped up. And then you're opening that smaller Ziploc bag every day and feeding out of it. And that way, that might be a week or two worth of food. Whereas by the time you get to the end of that container, it wasn't subjected to 2 months of opening and closing and getting more and more and more stale. Keeping in the fridge can help. I mean, if I got to be quick with the customer, I tell people, treat it like human food. If you wouldn't, leave a bag of chips sitting open overnight, don't let the food do that either, So, and I always tell people, like, with frozen foods, a lot of times if you forget and you leave it on the counter, then they ask me, like, can I still feed that? I go, well, if it was, a frozen food that you were going to eat, would you do it? And you'd be worried that you're going to get all yourself sick. I feel the same way. Like, for $5 in food, that's assuming it was full. I'd be like, I'll get other stuff. Just because I don't, you wouldn't want to see your entire 180-gallon tank with all your prize fish go down because we skimped and fed some, bacteria-filled bloodworms or brine shrimp or something crazy like that.
I completely agree with that. And I forgot to add that to mine. The smaller, if you're buying it in bulk, keep your bulk sealed up. Take it out in small batches that you'll use. Don't go into that bulk bag or container every single time you're going to feed. Put it in smaller containers. Keep the other one from, like you said, from more exposure to the air and all that kind of stuff. I love the human analogy. Treat it like you would human food. I love that.
That's just because it's easy and quick. Like, people then, the problem is 1 out of 10 people then go, well, wait a minute. And it spawns like a 4-hour conversation where you're trying to articulate, well, here's what I actually meant. But in general, most people just go, oh, okay, yeah, I could do that. And it's sound advice, because if you put your flake food in the fridge every day, it's not going to harm it. And you get all the pros of people know how to take care of their own food without, realizing that maybe, one of my biggest pet peeves is people that start having, let's say, dropsy issues, or the fish are just not doing so well. And you find out that literally they're on their can of flake food and it's been like over 2 years. And once, because you try to diagnose most common to not as common, right? So you're like, okay, water quality, you work. And eventually you're like, well, how old is this food? And you find out it's years and years old. And all they had to do is buy a new can of flakes and boom. Oh, they like to eat again. They're doing their thing. And it's like, well, yeah, let's treat it like, and I don't know why we would never do that for a dog or a cat, but it seems way common in the fish world. So, yeah.
Somebody keeps asking Corey, and I don't mean to say that in a bad way, but I've seen this person ask this multiple times, and I don't want them to think I'm a jerk and avoiding the question. People have asked, am I going to start selling fish on my website again soon? The answer is no. We're out of that business altogether. We only sell, dry goods and things like that. We're not going to be selling fish. In fact, if you want to buy all of my tanks, send me an email. Because we're getting ready to try to unload those here soon. Not all these, but all of the tanks from the shop.
So, I mean, I think this is a decent segue, and maybe this will work. Do you still have like a discount to like Live Fish Direct and that kind of stuff? Are you still doing that kind of stuff?
It's Tank Talk. Every single one of my promo codes, including with yours, if we're still doing that. I'm not sure if we are.
Currently, we still are, but we're talking about it.
Right. It's Tank Talk. Universal Rocks yeah, I think they're all that. There was one, I'm not 100% sure, but yes, Live Fish Direct, you put in Tank Talk, they give you $10 off. And then Universal Rocks is 15% off, which is massive. And then yours, I think, is 10% Tank Talk. It's just Tank Talk. It's easy enough.
Yeah. Matthew Hurst with a $5 super chat. Hey, Corey, been watching your videos so much recently, just had to throw $5 on it. Well, thanks, buddy. That's going to the taco fund. Airhawk says, yep, still use Tank Talk whenever I shop Aquarium Co-op. That's right. Save yourself 10%. Stack that with the deal tonight. You do pretty good. Let's see here. What website would you guys recommend for buying driftwood? If I have it on my website, I recommend me, but it sells out so fast, and we're so short-handed lately that I'm not a good resource. Where would you go, John?
The most recent driftwood I have purchased was from Houston Manzanita, which I'm a big fan of. And I don't know, is Manzanita, is that considered driftwood? I don't even know.
Sure, but, I would say, yeah.
It's one of my absolute favorite pieces that I have. Love it in like nano tanks and things like that. That big piece there, I actually bought at a pet store. Which was House of Tropicals up in Baltimore, Maryland, if you're ever up that way. But and all the other pieces I've gotten have just been kind of here and there, picking them up wherever. But Houston Manzanita is the only one that I know that is like a website other than yours, Corey, where the driftwood is a prominent thing. I don't think a lot of people like selling it because it costs so much to ship it.
It's a pain. We have to take a picture of every single one. We got to test fit it to the box. We got to do all these things. Like that's why. Like, don't get me wrong, there's piles of wood at the store for sale, but we got to take a picture, we got to upload it, and we had to make sure it fit in a box, and then we pack it and we put it on the shelf. That takes quite a bit so that someone can, like, dig through and shop them. And we do it, like, every month. We get, like, a bunch up there, and then they all sell, and that's, like, the perfect thing of, like, you should do more of that. And we totally should, but, we're growing so fast that it's hard to keep up.
One of my experiences is the small like swap meets and aquarium clubs, things like that, if they're still around. If you go to those type things, there's always a vendor there that has an abundance of driftwood, and it's cheaper that way because there's no shipping and stuff like that. So yeah, there you go, especially if you want big pieces.
We've almost done an entire live stream on this before, and I don't think we've done it yet, but the topic that we had an idea is, why did we get out of selling live fish online?
I did not get out of it because I wanted to get out of it. I got out of it because we were just dry. I mean, we ran out of money, and that was the biggest thing that drove us away. It wasn't, being able to compete with the other companies out there. It wasn't anything like that. We didn't have any kind of catastrophic nightmare scenarios that happened that drove us away from shipping fish. For us, it was just the fact that we shut our business down. Had we not shut it down, I would have continued doing that. Did I have my share of nightmare stories? Sure. I mean, every fish seller does, but I would have loved to continue doing it, but we just couldn't sustain it. I mean, and again, it was, our lack of business knowledge and some mistakes that we made that, we just couldn't keep it going anymore.
Yeah, for me, I didn't really have mistakes and that type of thing. It's that it is such like an all-consuming black hole. Like you put fish up, people buy them, they start asking questions, and the more you put up, the more you're going to sell, the more questions to be asked. And it got to the point where it was consuming all my time. I didn't really have time to make videos, and we were running out of employee time. And so I had to shut that part down online in order to be able to grow like dry goods and do other things. And so people always ask me, like, am I ever going to do it again? I'm cautious to never say never, but we need to be at a point where there's like an entire group of people dedicated to doing that. And that means answering your guys' email questions. That means doing the filming, because we filmed every individual fish we were selling. That means writing the description on them. And that's like a team of people that are basically standing to wait for questions, because when the fish were landing, so like you get a lot of questions over the weekend, and then you'd sell the fish kind of Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and then you've got like a landslide of people frantically wanting to call you on, let's say, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, because their shipment might be delayed by a day, or they just had a question when they opened the box, or their fish is being aggressive towards the new fish, and you got to like put all these fires out in a very timely manner because everyone is just as important, right? And that's the logistics things that I couldn't wrap my head around and make it make sense. We would lose money. We were doing it, but we were losing money doing it. I'm going, okay, I really got to set something up for that to actually work for us.
Yeah, and with me, I was doing all that. I mean, Lisa and I we were that group you were talking about, and running the store and doing the videos and all. So yeah, I mean, it was a lot. I enjoyed it though. It was my favorite thing to do, was packing the fish and getting them ready to go. But you know, as a business, it's hard. I mean, it is tough. It's expensive. There were more orders than I can count where we lost money. You know, I literally paid people to take these fish from me. So I'm not trying to complain about it. That's not what drove us out of it. But there's a lot to it. It's a lot of work. You're putting a lot on the line. You're handing something over to a UPS driver that you're hoping they will treat with respect, and they almost never do. So yeah, it was frustrating. It was hard and stressful, but I loved it. And if things hadn't gone the way they did, I would still be doing it to this day. I play the what if game with people all the time. Everybody does it. If you won the lottery, what would you do? I swear I would start another business like that. If I had just unlimited funds, I would do it. Because it was the fact that we didn't have unlimited funds that shut us down. You know, I would absolutely do it because I loved it. I enjoyed the whole process of packing the fish. I loved getting the emails from the people. Oh my God, these fish are so beautiful. I loved that. So I'd go back to it in a heartbeat if we had the money.
With unlimited money for playing that game, I would breed fish to supply to a gentleman like you or a local fish store, but never charge them. I want to be the guy that just shows up and like delivers a bunch of cool fish and then just walks away. And it's because I believe that that's the only situation where I would be truly happy, because what I bred would not be dictated by what someone's willing to pay or anything like that. They'd be all the species I genuinely love. And so I keep thinking of a day when I could do that, of just like, there's Crazy Curry, 70 years old, out in his buildings and all that kind of stuff. And he breeds stuff that no one else wants, but I don't have to do it for money. And I'm just could not be happier.
Yep. That sounds good to me. Some of the most fun that I ever had as far as the fish business goes was before we got our shop. When we had a scenario like you do where we had all of our tanks at the house. We were breeding. Lisa and I maintaining all the tanks together. We were shipping fish out of our garage and loved it. And getting the shop is what we were not ready for, and we shouldn't have done, but we did it anyway because we're ambitious people, and it is what it is. And it turned out, to be the biggest mistake we've ever made. But back at the house, that was the most fun I've ever had keeping fish. In 20-something years of keeping fish, that was the most fun I've ever had.
Yeah, you hit your sweet spot. Hindsight's always 20/20, and that's why I try to take it really slow. Going, is this the sweet spot? Could I make it a little bit sweeter? Because it's a little bit too sweet right over the edge. That's the problem. So, all right, here's a good one. This one gets back to some cichlids here. John and Corey, what are your top 5 Mabunas that could thrive in a 65-gallon? I'll go first. And whatever I name, you can name also, because, you know, my top 5, they're pretty awesome fish. And so I think a lot of people like them. But for me, I don't know if I'm going to go like 5 to best, you know, like 5 being the worst of the top 5. But just the 5 I can think of: yellow labs. I really like Demasoni. So there's 2 so far. ACI, and I like the yellow fin variant instead of the white fin variant on the ACI, the purple ACI. What else would I go with that I really genuinely love? I'm trying to think of, like, part of me wants to say like a true just like cherry red zebra, but half of them are jerks and the other half of them just work as a nice color combo. And so for sure, 4th could be, well, it can't live with these guys. That's the problem, is I'm picking ones that can't live together, because like Demasoni, if I'm keeping that, I can't really keep the Pseudotrophia solosi because there's going to be con aggression going on there. But maybe in that group of fish, I like snow white Socolophis for that albino look, that bright white. I could see John is shaking his head. I'm destroying all of his picks here, one after another. Oh, man.
I mean, I might as well not even answer. You're giving all of the fish that I would have said.
Oh,
I mean,
no.
It's ridiculous.
And then maybe I could salvage it by naming like a Tanganyikan cichlid by mistake. Like, this guy knows nothing. No,
yeah,
but
people really believe that.
There's got to be other stuff that I've kept that was like super fun. I'm big into those colors. Like, that's what draws me to the Africans. And I feel like, I don't know. I don't know if I have 5, because it gets foggy after those, you know. Yeah, I like those big, bold color types because that's an easy place to start. Well, I guess if they don't have to live in the same tank, I would probably choose like the Lawanda peacock, more of that purpley peacock, because I like that it's a wild type. When it's super easy to love, like strawberries and all that kind of stuff that's kind of been man-made. But the Lawanda with that purple and yellow is pretty beautiful, but I wouldn't add that into a mix of the fish I just said. So now you can come up with the same 5 fish you want, but I'm hoping you have at least one different one.
Okay, I'm going to try. Okay, white top Afra. The Polet, I'm a huge fan of that. Not a lot of people have those. Not very well known, but I love that fish. Yellow labs, absolutely. Yes, that's a staple in the hobby as far as I'm concerned. Albino Socolophis, you say it however you want to say it. I call them snow whites. Yes. And green Afra. That's what I would do. And I love Demasoni too. I don't know. Did I give 4 or did I give 5? If I gave 4, then my 5th is going to be Demasoni. Yeah, that's where I'm going to go. So white top Afra, green Afra, yellow lab, snow white, Demasoni. There you go.
There you go. See, what I like about those lists, here's my favorite part about those 2 lists. Those are all, in my opinion, very cheap Africans. You can spend, you know, an entire mortgage chasing down rare colored up male peacocks, but all those fish, in my opinion, pretty cheap, and you get a lot of enjoyment out of it.
Absolutely. I mean, a lot of people have asked me, especially when we had the shop, you know, I'm thinking of getting into Africans. What should I start with? I tell everybody to start with Mbunas because they're fun. They grow fast. They're super cheap. And a lot of them, you know, you start mixing males and females, you might have some issues, but you know, you're going to buy them. The majority of them are going to be unsexed, and the males and females are going to look very, very similar. So you're not going to end up with a bunch of drab fish. You're going to have really good looking fish. They're cheap. They don't get gigantic. You know, yeah, you got to deal with some aggression issues, but welcome to fish keeping. I mean, you know, so absolutely they're a great way to start, and you're not going to break the bank.
All right, so LA Luna Chick, this is kind of a question for me. I just want to address real quick. I got some of your Easy Green, and I'm wondering if the iron formula is strictly iron or if it's an all-in-one with higher iron content. It is actually just strictly iron. So the Easy Green has some iron in it, but if you need lots of iron, then you would dose just strictly more iron. And so that's the way the products are developed, that Easy Green gives you almost everything you need. And if you just had an insane amount of red plants and you were running in low on iron and that type of thing, you would dose specifically iron. So hopefully that gets you going. Can you start outdoor ponds inside? Yes, especially if they're on wheels. You can get them started like in your garage. And then the trick is, don't get lazy. I've kind of run into this problem before where I started up early in the garage and it's kind of cool but kind of warm. And then if you like get busy with life and then you're meaning to put it outside, realize, you remember, 4th of July when you go into your garage and you got to get soda to put into the fridge and those sodas are like boiling, your garage gets way too hot. So don't wait too long. It'll keep it warmer right now, but long term it can overheat them. So you got to be very Johnny on the spot when it comes to those temperatures.
I'm a firm believer. I've never kept a pond indoors and I've never kept one outdoors, but I am a firm believer in one of the biggest mistakes that fish keepers make, especially new fish keepers, is I'm going to start with this, but then I'm going to move up to this. That more fish have died because of that strategy than any other. I mean, I've had so many people, I'm going to buy a 30-gallon and I'm going to put 2 Oscars in there. And, I know they're going to get big, but I'm going to, a year from now, I'm going to buy a 55. And then a year after that, I'm going to buy a 120. I tell people, don't wait. Get the 125. You're going to spend less money, get your Oscars, and everybody will be happy. So I'm not a huge fan of the idea of starting in one place and then moving them because of exactly what you said. Life gets in the way. You have a car accident or you need a new transmission. Things happen, and the fish are the ones that end up suffering for that. And you can't see it coming. It just happens. I say just wait, unless you're somebody that's doing it because of weather reasons or whatever. That might be different. But if you're doing it purely because you're anxious to get started, just wait.
Yeah, I think that's sound advice. Kind of a cool thing here. Nick Hussein is in chat, and he says, "Hey, Corey, just got back from the shop. Made your lids today. They came out really great." So he is one of the people working on building the 800-gallon, and I've got custom tops going on and stuff like that. And so he's been working on some of that fabrication. So if he doesn't make the May 22nd deadline, everyone can haze him. But the goal is I got to get a bunch of people together. He's going to help. You'll see him on video. But we need 10 people to move that stand into my fish room. And you guys, if you want any specifics, you could ask him questions while he's still hanging out in the chat. Maybe he'll answer me. He could be gone by now, but kind of cool that one of my tank builders is in the live stream at the moment.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So let's see here. Johnny on the spot. That's right. Johnny is on the spot tonight. Let's see. What cichlids could go in a 20 tall tank? Shell dwellers, so shell dwelling cichlids, and like rams. Yep, rams. Apistogrammas.
Sure.
I'm trying to think if there's any like Malawis I could recommend. I just don't think I can.
I don't like the idea of them going into a 20-gallon tank, but there are quite a few in Bonas that stay small, Demasoni being one of them. They stay very, very small. Some yellow labs stay very small, depending on where you get them from. I've seen yellow labs that are huge, too. But yeah.
You do a lot of specimens. Like, I think people don't do that enough. It's just like one tank, one fish. Like, we'll do it for a flower horn, but why not like a crazy, beautiful peacock or something?
Just one peacock in the tank, you mean?
Yeah.
Sure. Why not?
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about something that I'm actually planning on doing, meaning a tank full of just one particular type of fish, which is what I'm planning on doing with that tank down there.
Nice. I say what it is, because then we're going to hold you to. Is it done yet?
Well, no, I will say what it is, because it is a plan. I'm not going to put a date on when it's going to happen. That tank right there is going to get completely blacked out, black sand, black background, which it already has, no decor, and it's going to be full of yellow labs. That's going to be it. Nothing but yellow labs. Probably get 35 of them or so to start small, and just have nothing but yellow labs in that tank. And I'm going to tell you something. I'm so excited about it. I can't wait to do it. I got to figure out what I'm going to do with the others, but yeah, that's something I'm really excited about.
So from one fish breeder nerd to another, are you going to buy like, okay, I'm going to buy 50 yellow labs, or are you going to buy like 4 and then breed them? Like, what's your game plan?
No, I don't have that kind of patience. No, it's going to be, I mean, I do still have accounts with some of the fish suppliers. And so I'll just buy them all very small, not very small, but 2 inches, and just buy them all in one shot. And they're going to breed. Sure, that's fine. That's part of the fun, you know. It's probably going to be one of those let nature take its course kind of tanks, which I'm usually opposed to, but what can I do? I'm not going to set up 75 tanks to breed yellow labs, but I'll just buy them all. I'm not going to, African cichlids breed very fast. We know that. So it wouldn't take long to fill up a tank, but I still don't want, I want that instant impact.
So Dylan says, hey, Corey, just want to say thanks for all the videos. Helped me with my constant depression and have helped me become more happy. Thank you so much. And so I know that a lot of people find relief in fish keeping and videos, stuff like that. The problem runs out or comes into when you run out of content. And I know John's got a ton of videos, and I go back through the backlogs and watch some of the older stuff. I really like to queue up the podcasts. You upload them to YouTube and that type of stuff. Because I know a lot of people are like, Corey, you only put out 1 a week, and it's basically this live stream we put out there. But you could watch some serious hours through John's podcast on his channel. And then there's also, what is it, Pet Fish Talk? They did like 12 years or something of that. That was like the longest one in existence for sure.
Yeah, Nevin and why am I?
Your brain fart has just ruined my brain because I swear I could have named it until you named one of them.
It's oh my God, what's the other one's name? Tom and Nevin. Tom and
go. Yep.
Tom, yeah. Is it Nevin? No, not Nevin.
No, that sounds right. It sounds right. I can Google it while we're thinking, but they remind me exactly. They're the Bailey brothers. I know
the
their
Bailey
last
brothers,
name.
right? Tom and Nevin Bailey, isn't it?
I think that's right. But they remind me of the Car Talk guys.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, those 2 guys, when it comes to online fish keeping content, those 2 guys are gods because they did it so far back. Like they were doing it so long before anybody else thought about doing anything like that. They are the fish keeping internet content gods, and their stuff is good. They're smart as can be and entertaining and fun, and it is Tom and Nevin, isn't it?
It is. I just looked it up, and it is Tom and Nevin, the Bailey brothers. Yep.
Tom is the one that does the vast majority of the talking, and Nevin is the PhD marine biologist, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and they've got. So I'm looking here. I think there's 459 episodes. Is that what I'm seeing? Or at least they're talking about that. There could be more, but they're talking about that specific section in this thing I'm reading.
Yeah, there is a ton. If you go on their website, I think they're all on iTunes too, and maybe they're not. I don't know, but I know I've listened to almost all of them. And you know, the thing is, what a lot of people don't know, there's a lot of fish in this hobby that they would not be in this hobby if it weren't for those 2 brothers. Mm-hmm. I mean, especially when it comes to African cichlids, you had the Bailey brothers, you had Leif de Mason, and you had the Bureau brothers. I mean, those guys are the ones that are responsible for us having African cichlids here. So yeah, those guys are legends in this hobby. I mean,
I remember learning a lot because so when I worked for my first fish store, it was a 45-minute drive each way. So I would queue up those podcasts, and that was a way I could, nerd out on fish even more, but then also learn a bunch. And what I loved is when they'd have people call in, and then you got to start knowing the callers. Like, oh yeah, that guy called in like 6 months ago, So it's kind of awesome.
Yep. I miss the podcast. I miss you and I talking about doing a podcast, Corey. That I miss that. That was fun.
I know someone doesn't have time. By someone, I mean it's me, but it's hard to come up with time.
I could be the Joe Rogan of fish keeping. That's what I want to be.
Yep. All right. So where are we at? We were doing it for an hour and 20 minutes. Let's grab some more questions here. To KGTropicals, the egg tumblers the egg tumblers, you should show how to make them. They're amazing. They've saved me a ton of money and are working great. Much appreciated. Wait, I think you did a video on how to make that. Is that true?
Yeah, a long time ago. That was right when we got our shop. It might have even been before we got the shop. And yeah, that design has been in this hobby for decades, making it out of sponge filter parts. I mean, they're all out there. That is not my original design. I'm not the one that came up with that, but I did share it with my viewers, and it's one of the most watched videos on my channel. It works great. It's simple. The parts are cheap. And Gemco actually even has like the KGTropicals package that they sell. They never asked me if they could do that. They never asked my approval. I never got a dime for it, nor do I care.
Does it literally say KGTropicals on it?
It does, yeah, because
wow.
I say in the video, and I think I might have put it in the description, you can get all these parts at gemco.com. And so people were emailing them or calling them, because you can't order direct from their website. You have to call them. Maybe you can now. I don't know. But so they were getting so many calls for it. I want the stuff that I saw in the KGTropicals video, that they just decided to title it the KGTropicals package or something like that. So
yeah, those people are super nice too.
They are. And I didn't even know that they had done that until I called them to order something. I don't remember what it was. And they were like, "Oh, you're the KGTropicals guy. We sell your egg tumblers." I'm like, "What? I don't have egg tumblers." She told me the whole story. I thought that was really cool. I mean, they didn't need to ask my permission to do that.
Let's see here. Who's got, we've only got like 7 minutes left roughly. Who's got the good questions to utilize KGTropicals while we've got them back in our grip? And then, we need more questions for, well, do we have a topic for the Thursday stream, or have we not thought of one yet?
I mean, I figured it was going to end up being something like this, just an open format type thing. I do like to go in with topics, and if you want to think of one, I'm all for it. One of the reasons why I took a little bit of a break from creating content is I ran out of topics, and that might sound ridiculous for somebody who has as many videos as you do, but I ran out of things to talk about, and it kind of got a little old answering the same questions over and over and over again every single week. So, but since it's been a little bit of time, I'm ready to go. We can just do a Q&A, or we can come up with a topic. It's totally up to you.
Well, here's a question I don't think I've ever had to answer. So it's for me and you both. They say, what are your thoughts on rainwater versus bore water? I'm guessing bore means well, in a planted shrimp tank. The tap water isn't available to him at all, and he's from Australia. So if you had to choose between rainwater and well water, and you don't get to know what the parameters are, we're just going to have to guess here. But if you lived somewhere where you could only have well water or rainwater, what would you acclimate your fish to?
Whew. I mean, I feel like I would go well, because I mean, some of the most success I've had in fish keeping has been when I've been on a well. It kind of, there's the risk of, bugs getting into rainwater and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know. There's all kinds of threats. Birds could poop in the water and stuff like that. I don't know how you're collecting your rainwater, but I don't know. I just feel like there's too many potential threats there.
I would go with well, for sure.
Yeah, well water is kind of like a no-brainer.
I mean, unless it's so crazy bad that you couldn't use it. But what my brain keeps thinking about is like, what about when it's not raining and you need to do a water change? Like, I'm just thinking, oh, I've always got well water available. That's going to be perfect.
Right.
And it's going to be clean each time.
Collecting the rainwater, I mean, is it just sitting in a big, pot of some type, just sitting there festering? Is it, I don't know. I guess it would depend on how you're collecting it. But well water, that's a no-brainer.
So a question for both of us. If you could only have one fish and one fish only for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Am I going first?
Sure,
I got my answer.
If you got your answer.
I would have a 10-foot tank, and I would have a silver arowana.
I'm going to
because
choose. Oh, go ahead.
because I'm not allowed to have Asians. I'm not allowed to have Asian arowana, so it would be a silver arowana.
But if you were, you would take the Asian?
Oh, 100 times out of 100. Yeah.
Yeah. I would choose, and I don't think people are going to see this coming. So I'm going to, I'm going to game the system a little bit here. And if I can only have one fish for the rest of my life, I'm going to choose a koi. I don't know what variety of koi, but I'm thinking, something I can grow really big. It'll live longer than I will, because I don't want to pick a guppy or something like that, and it's one fish, and like, yeah, I had fish once, and then it died 2 years later, and I can never keep fish again. So the technicality, I want a big old koi, because I feel like I could go swimming with it in my pond and that type of thing. And so yeah, even though I love a lot of other stuff, and I don't love koi that much, but if I was reduced to one fish for the rest of my life, some gigantotron koi is probably what I'd go with.
I think that's a great answer, because koi, particularly in ponds, become so much like regular pets. I know so many people that hand feed their koi and they pet their koi, and I was at a customer's house the other day that had a koi pond with more koi in it than I've ever seen in a home pond, and all of them were coming up begging me and talking to me, and so yeah, I can totally see that. I'm in on that, but for me it's the silver arowana.
So this person clearly must be watching your videos, because they say, it's Penny, says, Corey, please tell John your wife's catfish in her home tank does wink. I told him once that my corridors winked, which he said it's hard to do when catfish have no eyelids. I agree. They look their eye down. It looks like they blink.
They told you to tell me that?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. That's cool. I've never seen that, but that's cool.
I remember a video or somewhere where that was brought up. And yeah, so. All right. Let's see. We got 2 minutes left. If you see a question you have been seeing pop up over and over again you want to answer, just let me know.
I don't see one of those, but I see an interesting one here that is to me and you. It's, what would you recommend to someone who is having trouble picking what fish to keep because they keep finding new ones they would like to keep? And that's, I said it earlier today, again, welcome to fish keeping. That's the problem that all of us have. That's what leads us all to multiple tank syndrome. You get into one fish, you love it, you set up a whole thing for them, and then all of a sudden you find this other thing that you want. And that's a difficult question to answer, because are you only limited to one tank? If that's the case, then you've got to find that one and just stick with it. Just think about it. You buy a dog, you're not going to trade that dog in after 6 months because you saw another one that's cuter. You're going to have that dog for 10, 12 years. So look at your fish the same way. Love the ones that you have, and stop looking. Stop looking at other fish, because then all that's making you want to do is replace them.
So we got a super chat from Chris ongoing. Says, John, don't leave us like that again, okay? You guys are great.
I really do enjoy this. I sincerely do, and I'm not. There has never been a time where I've ever thought this is the end for me. Never. It's just been one of those things where I got overwhelmed very fast with work and with this, and something had to give. And it was not going to be my family. It was, I had to sacrifice, something had to give. And unfortunately it was KGTropicals, but only temporary. Don't worry. It's, I'm coming back. Don't you worry. I'm not going to be like Rick and disappear forever, and everybody's wondering where he went. No. And somebody mentioned earlier, I thought John was going to be like Mark Bolton and disappear. I know Mark Bolton. I've never met him personally, but I know him like I know you, Corey. And that guy did not want to leave. But again, it was the same kind of a scenario like I have, where it was just, it got to be too much. And he was dealing with some things at the time, and the African cichlid hub just kind of got pushed to the side, and I get it. I totally get it. I'm not gone forever, though. There's a lot left in me, and you'll see a lot more of me moving forward. Don't worry.
All right, so I've got a couple of things. One, when this video uploads, let me know in the comments. I want to know, I'm going to koi.com. I'm going to shoot a bunch of videos. Is there any actual koi questions you want a koi expert to answer? So if you have those questions, put them down below, and I'll try to get them answered. Two, have you done any thinking? Do you think you may or may not go, or maybe you already know, to the aquatic experience in November, or are we too far out for you to make that game time decision?
Are you asking me or are you asking
I'm
the
asking you, yeah.
I have not thought about that. That's November. I mean,
Yep.
I got a graduation coming up. I've got 2 birthdays coming up. I have not thought about that. I'd like to. I really would. But it's, it is a long way away. That's cross country for me. I really enjoyed myself last time. And there were so many things I didn't get to do last time. I didn't get to listen to any of the speakers. So I would love to. That's too far in the future to even.
All right, that's fair. That's fair. I just thought I would ask just in case you knew or didn't know. Like, sometimes people just know, like, oh, I can't. Blah, blah, blah's getting married that weekend, So I just know that it's on everyone's mind, starting to get ready, and hotels are going, that type of thing. So,
are you going to be there?
I am definitely going to be there. Yep, I'm already booked, bought my ticket, that type of thing. Yeah, I'm going to.
Are you working, or are you just going out there as a YouTuber?
I'm going out there as a YouTuber. Yeah.
Okay.
So, which kind of is my work now at this point, but yeah.
Well, I understand that, but I mean, you didn't get a booth, is what I mean.
Nope. At this point, there's no booth or anything like that. There's, talk of trying to make a place where all the YouTubers hang out and talk to people. And because I remember when I was there last year, it was a little bit of like, this person's at the other side of the building and that person's over there. And then you'd like try to go find that person and they're trying to go find someone else. And you're like, someone just said 15 minutes ago you were here. You're not saying that to them because they're already gone, but you're like, I literally have no idea where to go. So we're trying to, we need like a giant taco flag or something, that I'm going to strap that to my back. People know where I'm going. So
I just wish I could get somebody like Fluval or somebody like that to take me out there. That'd make the decision so much easier.
Do it. Hit up your rep and just ask them and go, hey, I want to be in the Fluval booth. What do you think? Maybe they'll do it.
Then I'd have to work, though. I wouldn't be able to mingle with the people. Actually, I could.
I feel like the whole reason you would go is for people to come to their – here's what I want to do. I want to send them an email and go, I heard you need a booth girl. I could be that girl. And then, people will come.
Well, that'd be fun, but I can't expect something like that. But again, I'm not going to rule it out, but there's no weddings prepared or planned for that weekend. But I don't know. I mean, that's just so far away. And I'm definitely, if I do go, I ain't driving again. No way. So, I'd have to get a plane out there this time because driving, oh, God, no, that was too long.
You got any last parting words before I wrap this shindig up?
You know what? I kind of reiterating what I was saying before. This has been a lot of fun for me. I mean, and I really do enjoy this. Thank you, Corey, for bringing it up. You brought it up more than once, and I finally said yes. I really do enjoy doing this. I love, the interaction with the people and all of that. And I am coming back. Don't worry. I'm not gone anywhere. This is a big, big part of my life. And so, you can expect to see more from me very soon. I don't know that I'm going to be able to commit to any kind of specific schedule or anything like that, but I'm definitely going to try. And I look forward to that. So, I can't promise big things or anything like that, but this is something, again, big part of my life, and I'm not walking away from it. So thank you to everybody that has come here to watch this. I know most of you came to see Corey because he's the brainiac of the group, but this was a lot of fun, and I can't wait till Thursday when we do it again.
That's right. So yeah, Thursday I'm going to be on his channel. I think there's going to be another secret guest as well. I think that's going to play out, but we will see if that plays out. He brings up a good point. He wants to do more stuff, and the way you guys can kind of make that happen is support YouTubers. Not just me, not just John, but, we have websites you can buy stuff. But in general, when you see people do, like they're selling a T-shirt or something like that, when you invest your guys' dollars into it, one, you're getting a T-shirt or a product you need or something like that. But then also that money actually makes it so they have to go to work less. And what does that mean? They can make videos, because at the end of the day, we do have to support our families and stuff like that. And YouTube, for most of us, you got to fit that in the off time. And so I'm lucky enough to make it my main time now. But, do realize that a lot of content hits the internet It is all free, but if you find you like someone specifically, go ahead and try and support them somehow. You know, everyone's got different financial things. I get it. But, you know, brings up a good point of, you know, if you can't make it one way, you got to make it another way. And so, yeah, I hope to see you guys on John's channel, which if you haven't signed up yet, KGTropicals, go subscribe, because I'm going to be over there on Thursday, plus another guest. We're going to have a ton of fun. And don't forget, stuff's for sale on my website. You can use the Tank Talk promo code, get yourself a little bit extra. Check out John's site as well. And we'll see you on Thursday, because I know all of you are going over right now. You're going to hit the subscribe button so you get notified, and we'll be there. You'll be there. If you didn't get your question answered tonight, put it down in the comments, or bring it along with you for Thursday, and we'll answer it there. So thanks for hanging out, guys, and we'll see you guys, and we'll see John very soon.